Hey guys, Hafriz Shah here, and we're here to take a look at the new 2020 Kia Grand Carnival 11-seater that has just been launched in Malaysia. And that's right, I say 11, so this big MPV sits not just 8 but 11 adults. But can it really fit adults in each one of its 4 rows? That's what we're here to find out. First of all, don't mind the hair or the mask, because these are indeed unprecedented times that we all live in. As you all know, you should only go out if you really have to, and if you do, please have your mask on every step of the way. Here I've got my glasses and my mask on, which, trust me, is the worst combination ever, but we do what we gotta do. Every bit helps. Us here at paulson.org, we are mostly working from home. We're only out for specific indoor car shoots such as this, and even then we've only got a minimal crew here, which is kind of sad if you ask me. And remember, we're all in this together, so please do everything you can to help us fight this and beat this situation. Every little bit helps. Moving on, let's start with prices first. The 2020 Kia Grand Carnival 11-seater goes for 180,000 ringgit, and this is now the only model you can buy here in Malaysia. The previous 8-seat KX and SX versions have been discontinued. While there's no official model code for this, either the LX, the KX or the SX, looking at the specifications, this is closer to the lower-end KX instead of the range-topping SX. As you remember, the previous 8-seat KX was priced between 155 and 160,000 ringgit, which was fantastic value for a car this huge, while the range-topping SX with all the bells and whistles went between 185 to 190,000 ringgit. So this new model fits right in between the two of them. Before we take a look at the all-important 11 seats, let's have a brief walk around of this car's exterior. This is based on the facelifted Grand Carnival that was launched over 2 years ago, and on the outside this is pretty much identical to the outgoing KX version. So you get the standard horizontal slats on the grille, as well as halogen headlamps and normal bulb-based fog lamps instead of LED units found in the more expensive version. So that's a bit of a shame, but at least you do get LED DRLs as standard. This car also gets 18-inch wheels, a set of functional roof rails, and LED tail lamps around the back. Now, from this angle, you start to see just how huge and massive this car is. The wheelbase is over 3 meters long, and overall length is over 5.1 meters. This is clearly a fair bit bigger than your typical Toyota Alphard and Velfire. In fact, in the US, one of this car's bigger markets, this is billed as a full-size MPV, where it goes against the Toyota Sienna, which is huge. Here in Malaysia, if you're looking to buy an MPV this big, your options are limited to this or the more van-like options such as the Hyundai Starex and the Maxus G10. Under the hood is the same engine as before, a 2.2-litre turbo diesel now making 200 PS and 440 Newton meters of torque. All that goes to the front wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission. But before you think about performance, remember that this is a huge car weighing over 2 tons, so no, this is not going to be a fast car. Up front here, it's pretty much the same as before. That is to say, a very spacious and practical cabin. There's a lot of usable cubby holes and even a double glove box, which may come in handy when you have a lot of things to carry. It even has a rather high quality feel to everything in terms of build quality. This entire piece up here, even down here, is all soft touch materials. And even if you go further down where it gets a little bit harder, everything has a high quality feel to them. It's not those cheap, nasty, scratchy plastics. And as with most Kia models, it has a very nice leather on the steering wheel. Now, specifically for the 11-seater, it does lose out on quite a few things compared to the top of the range SX version. Up front here, you do lose out on the nice color screen. You now get a smaller black and white screen, but that's not too bad. The seats, you also lose out on powered front seats, and the seats themselves are upholstered in fabric instead of leather. For a car that is to be used with kids and food and drink, that's a bit of a worry. But if you ask me, the fabric itself is pretty high quality. On the plus side, you do get this new 8-inch touchscreen with integrated Apple CarPlay, so that's great, no complaints there. The rest of the cabin is pretty standard Grand Carnival with a lot of nifty features. It has a 3-zone climate control system, 2 for the front, 1 for the rear, and it also comes standard with an onboard ionizer, an air purifier. In times like these, that is a great addition. At the top here, you get 2 buttons to control both the powered sliding doors and even a nice rear view mirror for your rear occupants, so you can see whether your kids are wearing their seatbelts or not. Like I said, this car does come with twin power sliding doors, which is essential for large MPVs. Now, this being an 11-seater, it now has 4 rows of seats compared to the usual 3. There's a lot of positives and negatives that go with that. First of all, because they've had to fit a full row of seats in the same cabin space, they've had to compromise on legroom, as you can see over here. Now, of course, you can slide the second and third row of seats front or back to get you your ideal legroom that you want or need. But to fit adults in each one of the rows, you'll pretty much come to this level of legroom, which is not very generous, I would say. Now I'll show you each one of the rows in a bit, but for now let's take a look at the creature comforts available for you in the back here. First of all, you get this nice digital climate control functions with individual controls for temperature and fan, and the vents themselves are on the ceiling. Now these don't look very good because it makes you feel like you're in a van, right? But tell you what, these being up here, blowing straight to your face feels a lot better than having small little vents down there or even on the B pillars. Moving further down, you get a nice USB charger. There's one for each row actually, which is very convenient. And there's also a pair of cup holders down here. If you need any more, you can just fold down the center seats. There's an extra pair here, plus a bigger cubby hole back here. Now let's go to the third row, and to go there, you have to flip up the center seats like that to create a small little aisle for you to walk through. So this is the third row of seats. We've had to push that left seat a little bit forward to make way for the camera, but we've not moved this seat over here, so it's the same one that we've shown you before. We'll do the exact same thing for the last row to show you just how much space you can have on each one of the rear row of seats. So as you can see, legroom is again not too bad, not too cramped, but again not very generous. But the seats themselves are a little bit different to the one in front because they've had to make it narrower to fit in these large plastic pieces on the sides. So the seats feel very narrow. It feels a little less comfortable compared to the second row. On the convenience side, you do get this nice set of sunshades on the last window, which is very useful for hot Malaysian weather, and you also get your own set of aircon vents again. Now on to the last row of seats, the fourth row. This is a bit of a squeeze. Okay, now this is the last row of seats, the fourth row, and as you can see, it's pretty dire back here, and you know I'm not the tallest person around. I'm only 167 centimeters tall, or about 5'5", and yeah, I'm struggling back here. And even the headroom, I'm almost touching the ceiling, so if you're a little bit taller than me, you might not be able to fit in the back here. But technically, this car can fit adults in each one of its 4 rows, so yeah, I guess that's an achievement. But onto the seats themselves, it's very uncomfortable back here. The backrest is set at pretty much 90 degrees. You're sitting straight up and there's no leg room. Your knees are pushed up right to your chest, and yeah, I don't think it can last anything more than maybe half an hour trip in the back here. Anything more, yeah, I'll be angry. So technically, as we've shown, this car can fit 11 people in the car in one go, although it's going to be a bit of a squeeze. But unfortunately, that's not the end of the story. The thing is, all 3 of the center seats only have lap belts instead of your usual 3-point seat belt. That makes it unfit for anyone basically. It's not fit for adults, it's definitely not fit for kids, it's not going to do much if you get into an accident. So effectively that makes this car an 8-seater at max with 3 small unusable seats. So we're back to 8 seats again. It's just that in the old version, at least we had even better seats. The seat in the old version was a lot thicker with a lot more thigh support. The cushions were thicker as well, whereas the ones here are somewhat specially designed to fit as many seats in this cabin as possible. So everything is a compromise. So yeah, it's far from ideal for me. In my opinion, this car works a lot better as a 6-seater in a 2, 2 and 2 seating configuration. You can just forget about the last row and then just use the second and third rows, push them as far back as possible to give you this very nice and comfortable leg room. And yeah, just live with having 6 seats instead of 8 or 11. But on the positive side, this car does come with 4 sets of ISOFIX anchor points, which is an upgrade compared to just 3 in the old car and just 2 in pretty much most MPVs. With the usage of child seats being compulsory now in Malaysia, this is a huge selling point for the Grand Carnival. Now onto the boot, there is no power tailgate, so this is all fully manual, and reaching up for the grab handle can be a bit of a stretch for shorter people. But as you can see, it opens up to a massive boot. This is the car in its 3-row configuration. As you can see, you can just stack up a whole load of stuff all the way up here. You can even push the seats forward, you can fold them down. So this is a true blue MPV, a multi-purpose vehicle in all sense of the word. What is not though is an 11-seater with a boot, because if I were to pull up the seats, yeah, you're left with no boot at all. There's like zero space here. This just shows how far they've pushed this car to its limits, to its absolute limits, to fit in 11 seats. Now, if you're wondering where the spare tire is, it's hidden neatly underneath the right side of the car. Safety-wise, this car gets the usual 6 airbags, electronic stability control and hill hold assist, even though certain features such as blind spot monitor and rear cross traffic alert that were available in the SX variants before have now been dropped. There's also no active safety features whatsoever such as AEB, and considering this is a big family car and it's not exactly cheap, that is definitely a disappointment. So there you go, this is our detailed walk around video of the 2020 Kia Grand Carnival here in Malaysia. So obviously it's a bit of a mixed bag, especially when it comes to the new 11-seat configuration. I myself would much prefer the older 8-seater configuration, but Nazar Kia Malaysia believes that this new flexi seat configuration would give its owners more flexibility when it comes to how they want to use the available space and seats. Me, I'm not quite convinced, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching and stay safe, everyone.